And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, this is just going to be a quick. I just want to put something out there. I want to make sure we have a video about this because this is shaping up to be a big story going into 2026. As you know, the midterms are happening in November 2026, so just over a year from now. And these midterm elections are going to be for all the marbles, for all the chips. This is going to be bigger than the 2028 presidential election as of right now in terms of Donald Trump, because y'all, if he loses the House of Representatives, meaning the Republicans, and if they lose the Senate, things are going to get ugly, and they're going to get ugly fast. So with that in mind, the administration is looking to clean up all of the voter rolls. They're looking to make sure that people who are registered to vote in the various states are actually citizens, that they're actually people who are alive, that they're real people, they aren't fictitious people, etc., etc., etc. But the states, particularly the Democratic states, y'all, they're pushing back. They're saying we're not going to turn over our voter rolls, and that's what we're going to see here today. Colorado, Washington State, and Maine have all told the administration, oh, HE double hockey stick, no, we're not turning over our rolls. Y'all forget about it. It's over. It's a wrap. It's not happening. And this is setting up to be a major showdown going into one of the biggest and most consequential elections for Donald Trump, maybe ever, y'all, because I'm telling you, if they lose, Republicans lose 2026, you're going to see investigations. You're going to see impeachment. You're going to see, they might even try to strip him of the presidency, y'all. So this is huge. So, y'all, without further ado, I'm going to bring to you these stories where these states are saying, nope, we're not sharing our voter information with the feds. It's just not going to happen, y'all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
Administration keeping a close eye on the state of Colorado.
New today, the Secretary of State is responding to a request from the Department of Justice about voting information.
Fox 31 political reporter Gabrielle Franklin on it after speaking with the Secretary earlier today. Gabrielle.
Yeah, Jeremy, Colorado's Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, says that the state won't be complying with that DOJ request.
So we will not be complying with the DOJ's request. I told them to take a hike.
Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold says the DOJ's Civil Rights Division reached out to her office asking for the Social Security or driver's license numbers of voters in Colorado.
There's a lot of suspicion about what they are doing. I actually led a letter with 9 other secretaries of state a couple of weeks ago demanding answers. There's concerns that these federal officials have lied to secretaries of state. We asked for answers by Monday. They did not reply. And there is concern that they may be collecting this information to push it through an unverified, untested citizenship check system.
Secretary Griswold says the DOJ does not have a right to that information, even citing a bipartisan-backed state law from 2021 that prohibits a designated election official from sharing identification and social security numbers. The secretary saying even if it wasn't state law, she still would not share that information with the DOJ. Other states who haven't complied with the DOJ request for voter rolls have been sued by the administration. She says Colorado is prepared for that possibility.
If they do file a lawsuit, we look forward to beating them in the court of law. So we'll see ultimately if they end up filing suit. They have sued 14 other states at this point related to these types of requests. And I have a great deal of confidence that we'll protect our laws.
So we did reach out to the Department of Justice just to confirm their request, as well as their receipt of the state's response. We got 2 words back from them: no comment. Reporting live outside the state capitol, Gabrielle Franklin, Fox 31.
Gabrielle, thank you.
So there you saw Jenna Griswold in Colorado, and she has had quite the checkered past as it relates to voting. I'm seeing on X that there was a scandal relating to passwords to the voting system, and we even have a story that she previously was sued by Judicial Watch for voting information, and they reached a settlement. So that's one of the many states. We also have Washington State. Take a look at this.
Washington Secretary of State Steve Hobbs isn't backing down from his refusal to give up the state's full voter registration database to the Department of Justice. The DOJ sued Hobbs today, accusing him of violating federal law by refusing to hand over voter rolls. Comes Michelle Esteban talked with Secretary Hobbs today, as well as the head of the Republican Party, who says Hobbs should share the data. Michelle?
Preston, the issue here is voter privacy. The feds essentially, they want to do an audit on the election system, the voter rolls, if you will. But Hobbs is saying, hey, you can do that with what is already publicly available. An unwavering Secretary of State shortly after learning the DOJ just slapped the state with a lawsuit for something he wouldn't do. Does your denial still stand?
Yeah, I'm not going to turn over the list to Department of Justice.
Secretary of State Steve Hobbs told me he hasn't even been served the suit and first learned about it through media reports. The feds want the state's voter rolls, all of it, including the last 4 digits of voters' social security numbers, dates of birth, and driver's license numbers.
Is protected by federal law and state law. I'm just not going to hand that over to them.
Secretary Hobbs' intransigence about flouting federal law. There are at least 2 different federal laws that allow the U.S. Department of Justice.
State Republican Party Chair Jim Walsh called Hobbs' denial reckless and predicts the state will lose in court, arguing federal law trumps state law. And yet both sides insist federal law is on their side.
They want me to turn over all this, private information, but at the same time, there's a 1974 law that's in place, a federal law, that prohibits me from doing it, and the state. I'm willing to work with them on giving them the information.
And finally, in another use of colorful language, Maine told the administration that you can go jump in the Gulf of Maine. That's what they said. No, we're not giving you our voter information. And by the way, why don't you take a leap into the Gulf of Maine? I mean, y'all, this is big, and like I said, it's for all the marbles.
The Department of Justice now suing Maine again, this time for not providing voter registration information as requested by the federal government.
Bonnie Bishop joins us live tonight. So Bonnie, what is the DOJ saying about this lawsuit?
The DOJ alleges that Maine has violated several voting laws, and this is all about information that Secretary Shenna Bellows has denied access to twice now.
Go jump in the Gulf of Maine.
That was Secretary of State Shenna Bellows in July. Tonight, she's doubling down on her decision to withhold voter registration records from the federal government, citing privacy concerns. The DOJ filing a lawsuit, again trying to get that information, including birth dates, addresses, and partial social security numbers. The DOJ saying states cannot pick and choose which federal laws they will comply with, including voting laws. The DOJ also claims Maine and Oregon gave identical information to a private organization, but the Secretary of State says that's a lie. Bellows saying tonight, Maine has some of the best elections in the nation. It is absurd that the Department of Justice is targeting our state when Republican and Democratic secretaries all across the country are fighting back against this federal abuse of power, just like we are.
As Secretary of State, I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, the laws of the nation, and the laws of the state. And I will fight to protect voter privacy under the law. So I'm here to say that they've overstepped.
The lawsuit comes after the RNC filed a complaint with the Justice Department last week with similar concerns.
So the battle lines are being drawn already, and you can see where they are. The various states, particularly, again, Democratic states, they're saying we're not going to cooperate. This is going to federal court. I don't know if there's enough time to sort all of this out in the courts before 2026. Everything's happening so quickly. I mean, there's under 12 months before the elections happen, and even less time for the primaries. So yeah, this is gonna, y'all, again, I'll be referring back to this video in the future because this is probably gonna get quite ugly. Let me know what y'all think, y'all. Do you think they're hiding something? They're asserting that they have a right not to turn over the data. And so just because you have a right to not do something doesn't mean that you're not going to do it, right? Because you might want to do it. So not only are they saying that we don't have to do it, but they're also saying we don't want to do it. And they're saying that it's because of privacy. I don't really understand that. I tried looking into it. I don't see what they're afraid that the federal government may do with the data, but maybe you know. If you know, drop a comment about that down in the comment section below, y'all. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. I want to thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.